Being fat or skinny is a choice.
Gosh, I think of like when I'm like in front of really good food, and just being like a foodie in general, like trying different restaurants. Food is how I bond with people too. It's in our society. You go to a restaurant, you eat as much food until you're so stuffed you can't eat anymore. And that is how I eat almost every day. To get up and have that same energy to go to the gym is really hard. Where I'm like, the easy thing is to do the eating until I can't no more. And maybe that does make it a choice in a way.
Maybe. Yes, that is exactly what makes it a choice. In today's video, we're going to react to a fitness debate similar to the Jubilee videos. However, this channel is much smaller. I think they got under 5k subscribers. And the reason I want to react to this one specifically is because I assume because it's a smaller channel, the people that are actually on the panel are probably more regular people. And the channel we're going to react to is called CounterPoint. And the title of the video is being overweight a choice? Gym goers versus body acceptance. Off the rip, I would say that being overweight is a choice for majority of people. When you take out the thyroids and the disabilities, once you take out the very minute niche individuals, it is a choice in a sense because you choose to pick up the fork. Now, I don't think everyone has it easy and will be able to be skinny or slim or even muscular, but there's a far cry from being super obese to being like slightly chubby or overweight. But nobody's natural set point is like 400, 300, 500, 600 pounds.
Welcome to Counterpoint. On this side, we have gym goers, and on this side, we have supporters of body acceptance. Being fat or skinny is a choice. We'll start by having people that agree come up now.
Be interesting to know what you guys think down below.
I mean, anybody can lose weight if you just put your mind to it. Some people might find it harder to lose weight. Some people might find it easier.
Okay, and what do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely a choice. Excluding all the rarities, thyroid conditions, things like that come up. In general,
I like this panel. He's already said, like, just to get out of the way before the overweight people start speaking, when you take away all those exceptions, for most people, it is going to be a choice. And if you choose to be big, that is your right and your choice, but it is your choice. So shouts out to him for making sure he got that out early, because if you don't say that little disclaimer, they run wild with it, pulling out every random freak minute instance and saying, but they can't lose fat, Meanwhile, they haven't got a disability or any sort of medical condition and still happen to be 400 or 500 pounds fat.
I definitely think that it's everyone's personal choice. Some people do have it harder. I myself, I have a really hard time gaining weight.
Fair. And how about you?
Yeah, no, I agree with the majority of what you've said, that you can change your diet and really control what your weight does. I've watched it happen with my own body over the course of my life. I shared my office with a nutritionist for a year and listened to him talk about things. And, it is very true. You can control that. And there are different genetic effects that can have a play on things, or different conditions that people might have, like you mentioned. But I think we have to also mention the way that our food system is structured right now. Our food system is designed to keep people unhealthy and to keep people fat.
That is very true. Based on the quality of ingredients that's put into foods and the way it's marketed in general, people often end up choosing like the processed foods often because they're in your face all the time. So it makes it more of a choice that you have to really make sure to be on your shit and don't let the marketing gimmicks trick you. Some people think they are eating healthy when they switch up their diet, but actually they're not, because the items they're picking up isn't that great for you in general. So you have to always remember to flip it around, have a quick peek at the ingredients, calories, and the amount of protein, fats, and carbs in these things. So in general, it's an education process that you have to almost undertake yourself, because you don't really get taught it at school or anything. So unless your parents know this, you're probably going to be oblivious to it.
I think that there's so many disadvantages and ways of privilege that some people don't have access to.
I'm going to guess the trigger words that's going to come out throughout this period. She's already said the word privilege. They're also going to say probably marginalized groups living in a bigger body rather than just saying fat. And potentially, I hope they don't go this route where some people say that, the whole obesity thing is racism. That's a real dumb one. I hope they don't go that route.
Just for medical conditions, personally, I have POTS, which makes it hard for me to exercise, and also I need a lot of salt. And when I am thinner, it's harder for me to stay hydrated, so I pass out then. But all of those reasons, it's hard for me to believe that it is a choice.
Okay, can you kind of explain like what POTS is?
Yeah, POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And what that means is when your heart rate rises because your blood pools, and so then you pass out. But it's really important to stay super hydrated and have salt in your system to regulate your blood pressure.
I also have.
Before they go into this, I wish they got a regular fat person, like a regular obese person. The reason why is because the majority of people don't have this medical issue. So the problem is now is that throughout most of this, she's going to rely on that as her baseline. But the problem is that the average obese person doesn't have that. Like they may have other medical complications due to being fat, but they don't out the womb have this. So I feel like that is going to almost deter from the video. And I think the other lady was about to say she has something too. If they both have medical issues, if they are like super like, oh, I'm so sick, I can't do nothing, they're not going to be able to take on anything the other side say.
I also have a medical condition called PCOS. It's polycystic ovarian syndrome.
At least with PCOS, I know that with that, yes, it does make weight loss harder, but it's possible. So if she comes out and says that it's not possible, some bullshit.
And it makes it difficult to lose weight as well. I'm not blaming me being a bigger gal over that by any means. Also, one thing I cannot control is how tall I am. I'm really short, and that's also a part of this body acceptance thing. It's like, that is something that I can change with only one thing, and that's wearing heels. And it's not the most ideal way to live, but like this is the body that I was born in.
Shut up. I'm sorry. There's many short people out there, women and men. You know what I mean? Like body positivity initially was meant to be for people like a cleft lip or some sort of disfigurement or the disabled. Therefore, they wanted people to normalize it so they don't feel weird. But somehow we emerged from talking about that specific types of groups to just any old person. There's many short people out there, women and men. I'm sorry. If you're a smaller individual, you eat less because in theory your stomach's smaller. So don't just make it seem like you got like a 6 foot person's appetite in a 4'2" body or 5'2" body. You eat according to the size that you are.
It's really difficult.
I think it all comes down to whether or not we have free will. In today's society, we don't have access to knowledge. And so a lot of us don't realize.
That's not true. We do have access to knowledge. Like you may have to find your way through it. But you know what a lot of people did to learn to get in shape and lose weight or eat better? They went on YouTube. Almost everybody has access to if you're watching this video, you have access to YouTube. Now, not everything on here is perfect. So you may have to like research and go on Google to double check some of these facts and figures. But if you find a fairly good creator or even a doctor you can find on it sometime as well, that is giving out solid information that seems to be on the up and up, you can learn a lot from it. Like I did mention earlier, if you got taught it in school properly or by your parents, that's great as well, because primary socialization of being at home or in school is always going to be great in terms of helping you learn things. However, at least for adults, you can go on the internet and find this stuff out. Obviously, it's better to know this from young because you can grow with it rather than eating terribly up until like, say, you're 20 and then trying to reverse course. But you can definitely, if you want to seek the knowledge, you can find it. It's out there.
If I have somebody that I have to rely on to buy all my food and supplies, then at that point, you don't really have a choice. It's not like an 8-year-old can petition for emancipation. I mean, he's kind of stuck under the guidance and values of his parents.
That is a good point that I forgot to mention. In the instance I'm talking about as a choice, I'm more talking about from like an adult's perspective. If you're a child and you're living under your parents' roof, you're gonna eat what they eat. So they eat like shit, very inactive household, and they eat terribly, like junk food, high calorie foods. Chances are that you're going to be fat. That's one of the biggest indicators of like childhood obesity is if the parents themselves are also obese and not active.
Yeah, that's true.
As an adult, I guess it's different, but yeah, definitely as young children and even the teenagers, it's not as much of a choice.
What else do you think makes it not a choice for them?
Gosh, I think of like when I'm like in front of really good food, and just being like a foodie in general, like trying different restaurants. Food is how I bond with people too. Like it's in our society. You go to a restaurant, you eat as much food until you're so stuffed you can't eat anymore.
No, that's not what most people do. They go to a restaurant, they eat a meal, they may get dessert, and they may feel a little bit full, but they don't eat as much as they can. And that's like almost a binger's mentality, to be honest.
And that is how I eat almost every day. And it feels like I don't have the free will anymore. It freaking controls me.
But you do.
To get up and have that same energy to go to the gym is really hard. Where I'm like, the easy thing is to do the, eating until I can't no more. And maybe that does make it a choice in a way, but I feel
Maybe. Yes, that is exactly what makes it a choice. The fact that you have chosen when you go to a restaurant to eat multiple like dinners, and then you choose to not go to the gym because it feels hard and you don't feel like doing it, that is a choice by definition. So I don't get why there's a maybe. Like, I guarantee you, if she didn't say it out loud, in her head, she probably would have thought, it's not a choice. But because she's saying it out loud and realizing, oh, I think it is a choice, baffling.
but I feel like I don't have the free will to make that choice.
That makes sense. Do you think a lot more people are feeling that like that too?
100%. Like, it's something that I can control. If I'm going to choose a salad, you bet I'm going to put a bunch of dressing on it to make it taste better. Or the burger just looks so good. Like here, I absolutely am going to eat that compared to the salad. I don't feel like I have control over it, that it does not feel like a choice. It does also feel good.
Okay, so that's where the confusion is. It may not feel like a choice because you feel like you're compelled to eat it, but it is a choice. It's just the fact that you have obviously a poor mindset in relation to food where you're almost addicted to it. So that's a different kind of question. But on the fundamental level of, is being obese a choice? Yes, it is in her circumstance, because she does know that there is another option. It just may be a harder option to pick.
Like, the endorphins hit me and I'm just like freaking dopamine high. I guess I could be addicted to crack. If my food is my addiction, which it is, I've wrote like long notes in my phone about how bad my food addiction is. Like, it doesn't feel like a choice. But there's no place to go, like food rehab. Right? It's not treated the same. It's just you're fat and that's your choice. Get up, you lazy thing. Terrible.
There are places you can go to be helped with food. I wouldn't say food rehab, you don't go get yourself locked up, but I'm pretty sure there are therapists that are meant to try and help you break addictions, because they say when you're addicted to food like that, normally there's like a stemming reason. The number one thing I'd say is that, like with drugs, if you're addicted to certain foods, you shouldn't have it in your house easily accessible. So that is normally step one. Keep the drug out of your reach. So if she's, for example, feels that way, if you look in her cupboard, she should not have a bunch of these foods just chilling in there.
Specifically with going to the gym, like, that is a discipline that I highly admire in people like you. Truly. I tell myself I don't have the time. I'm doing other things. I'm working. I don't think I would have the dedication that it takes. Going to the gym is a choice. And you guys, I'm glad that you do, but it's also like not my thing. I've tried it before and I don't have the discipline to stay consistent with it.
You don't have to go to the gym. There's other forms of exercise. You could literally buy a walking pad for your house and get your steps in that easy. You have to remember that when you're that out of shape, you don't have to do that much to turn it around, or at least get rid of a chunk of it. It's a lifestyle change and activity. In her case, the chances are that she eats loads and also moves very little. So what you need to do is increase activity, even something simple of walking every day. Maybe say like a 30-minute walk outside plus maybe 20-30 minutes on a walking pad inside your house, and then cut out 1 or 2 takeaways per week and just actually cook a meal instead of it. You should probably see a huge turnaround, especially because she's short as well, short and stacked. You start seeing the changes quicker. So it's not a case of, oh, the gym's the only option. It's a great option because it's just a facility that you can join. You haven't got to join a team like when you play sports like tennis to exercise. And I can't see her going jogging. So either walking or the gym is usually the typical habit. She's probably not going to want to do swimming or something like that either, getting down in a bathing suit. So these are things that can be done. And the biggest factor I'd say is that just because it feels hard and you don't feel like doing it, sometimes as you start seeing progress, you start to like the journey. For example, I've seen many countless video of obese people that used to be obese say that they used to hate the gym and go in because they just didn't feel comfortable there. They felt out of shape. They just felt like they didn't belong. However, they stuck through it. And as they started to see progress, things as simple as being able to stay on the treadmill or cross trainer for like 10 minutes when they couldn't do 5 before, that little nugget was the seed that grew. And they were like, you know what, I feel kind of dope doing that. Next time I'm going to try and do 12 minutes. And then the seed grows into something else like, oh, I actually had to run for a taxi or a bus and I didn't feel as winded as I normally do. Another seed starts growing and it starts sprouting branch upon branch upon branch because all these little minute things that you didn't really think about before start making a huge ass bush. This analogy is getting out of there, but like it starts making like a big bush, and before you know it, like you have grown like a habit that you started to kind of enjoy. And then when you start seeing visual changes, it's damn near game over. You'll start to get the bug. So you may not learn to be super pro gym heavy, but you'll start to be like, I appreciate the building and I accept and are happy with the results I'm starting to see.
Like trauma can make a huge barrier between self-awareness and blaming the world. And so a lot of people just blame the world and they can't accept accountability.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it comes down to discipline. I've been through the points in time in my life where, I've been what you would consider 1% as far as physical condition. And I know that at this point, it is a discipline thing. Last year, my wife and I did a 90-day challenge and I lost 50 pounds in 90 days. So I know if I make the choice to do the things, good things happen. So for me, I believe it is a discipline thing, but that it can very well be my privilege. It's not, I have the means to be able to do it if I want to or choose not to. And like you said, food is a social thing for me. I have, just today, I had an all-you-can-eat buffet after a work event. Yeah.
I just think back to like access and like how you were talking about how sometimes there are folks that are privileged and can access those kinds of things. But for me and how I grew up, I know that like we didn't always have a ride to the food pantry. And even if we did, the food pantry doesn't offer nutritious food a lot of the times. Also, not only transportation, there is that mental block. There's also physical blocks if you are differently abled and not able to make it to the gym or make it to the store. All of those things are really prevalent in the back of my mind because I've experienced a lot of those things. And so I think it's really important for me at least to remember where I come from and then also the privilege I have today to make more choices than I ever could.
I totally get the access because it seems like healthy food is the most expensive.
So when it comes to what she said, I'm not going to scrutinize too much because, as I mentioned earlier, she specifically says she has medical issues that sound somewhat legitimate. They will probably stifle her ability to exercise and move more. But as I'm not too familiar with the specific medical issues she has, I won't scrutinize her too much. The girl next to her, though, is a different story. I do think, after hearing her story and how she broke it down, it's definitely a choice in her circumstance. She definitely could lose weight and look better. Well, let's take away look better. She could definitely lose weight at the bare minimum. So it all comes down to the title of the topic, and the segment is being fat a choice? And the answer in this circumstance so far for the majority is yes. And that is the hard fact. So for those out there that always say, oh, well, access to food and whatnot, even with what the guy said, he said like healthier food's always more expensive. That's not always the case. You know what I mean? Maybe if you get organic food or these fake titled foods that don't really matter that much, but if you buy certain foods in bulk, even if it's frozen, over the course of the time and amount of portions you can make, it probably works out to be better off. The problem is that a lot of people like processed foods. It's quick, easy, and simple. And sometimes that just becomes the go-to because it just saves so much time. A lot of people do not want to, for example, have the idea of having to meal prep foods to make sure everything's ready for the week so they don't binge and eat other crap. Like me personally, I don't like meal prepping. I'll do it occasionally, but I don't like doing it. I prefer to cook food on the day. But when there's days where something happens and I'm really busy and I haven't got time to cook on that day, that is when I started thinking, ooh, I should probably order something. Thankfully, I've got into the habit now where I've found decent foods that technically are processed foods, but are still low calorie and high protein that I have in my freezer as a go-to when I can't afford to, when I haven't got the time to cook a meal from scratch myself. But these are things that you have to kind of put in place. So when you do slip up, you have like almost automated like lifestyle that will stop you from backsliding completely. Because the easiest way I would say for anybody to improve their lifestyle is to try and put on easy mode, limit the amount of friction. If you're addicted to snacks and foods like that, don't have them in your house, because all that's going to happen is you have to now employ willpower. If you're a binger on food, willpower is the last thing that you probably have mastered. Therefore, don't put it in your house. At the bare minimum, doing something as simple as putting some of the snacks in the boot of your vehicle if you have a car, that will limit you. Like, I live in an apartment. I used to do that trick. I love popcorn, cookies, and cakes. If I ever bought those things or someone bought me them in like multi-packs, I would put them in the boot of my car, because oftentimes the extra effort to leave my apartment and go downstairs would likely never happen. You know what I mean? And that little barrier allowed me to not pig out on them. Whereas if I kept them in my cupboard, bro, they wouldn't even last one day.
It's possible. Like I said before, as long as you're not you're burning more calories than you consume, you're going to lose weight. So at the end of the day, I always think it's a choice.
Again, barring medical conditions, every nutritionist I've ever spoken with has always said it really is as simple as how it's being put. I don't say that to cast in negativity, but more so to just spread like, hey, it is possible, and I don't want to enable anybody's mind to think that it can't be done.
But anyways, this video is actually a whole hour long, and this is only one segment, so I'm probably going to separate this one out and upload it separately. So if you do want to see part 2 where I go over some of the other segments in the video, let me know and I'll go back and I'll record, watch it, or edit it and get it out to you guys. But as it stands now, let me know in the comments what your thought is on this topic. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Be sure to click the link here to subscribe, or hit me up for coaching, or click the video here to watch a similar type topic.